If you've gone through a breakup, a divorce, or you're sick of attracting the wrong women into your life, and this is something that keeps happening, this is the video for you. I've personally been through this myself, and by the end of this video, we're going to understand how to never get in this position again and how we can change things around, how to actually start to attract the right woman into your life and no longer attract these low value women that drain all your energy, time, and take you away from your purpose and your goals. So let's get straight into today's video. And I want you to understand the women that come into your life, the ones that you attract, are the types of women who match your identity. And understand that your identity shapes your energy, and the energy is the vibrational frequency from which you operate from. It's how you think, how you carry yourself, the standards you set, the boundaries you hold, and the way you show up in the world. And women feel this instantly. And the reason why women feel this instantly is because women are able to read energy very well. Okay, I'd have to say that women are very good at reading energy compared to men. So you understand that your energy is your aura as a man. Okay, when you change your frequency, when you start operating with high frequency, you will attract a high frequency woman. And I want you to think of it like this. If you operate from insecurity, neediness, or lack, you're going to attract a woman who matches that. And me personally, after being in relationships now for 16 plus years, I've been in relationships since I was 18 years old, right? So I've made a lot of mistakes. That's why I know a lot about, relationships, breakups. I've been through it all. And me personally, even though I would attract feminine looking women into my life because my frequency was low, because I had insecurities that I didn't overcome, because I had no purpose, because I was needy, because I didn't have everything set up as a man in terms of my masculine presence, that was lacking. Because I didn't have that, because I didn't have internal fulfillment, what I would do is I would attract women who were also on that same frequency. Women that were also desperate, women that didn't love themselves, women that need constant reassurance. And essentially it would turn into toxic relationships, right? I've been through a lot of those myself. So I said to myself, when I was 33 and I went through my rock bottom period, it's like, man, why do I keep attracting these sorts of women, right? Because at the start, my ego would always kick in after going through a breakup. And I would say, it's her fault. She's messed up. I'm okay, right? And then you keep doing that over and over again, it will all catch up, right? It will all come back to haunt you. And for me personally, I had to heal myself from a lot of the breakups that I didn't heal myself from a very young age, right? At 33, I was finding myself going back in time, healing myself because I finally took responsibility. I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you know what? Why do I keep getting in the same position, right? It's not the women at the end of the day, it's me. I'm the one that's attracting these women. I'm the one that's choosing to be in a relationship with them. So why am I getting matched with women that I essentially don't want to be in a relationship with? And this is when I had that aha moment. I started to look into this more deeper and I started to pay attention to vibrational frequency. And I'm going to explain later how this completely changed in terms of attracting the right woman finally into my life, right? But for the context of where we're at right now in this video, essentially I would keep attracting low frequency women into my life, right? Women who are desperate, women that just wanted to quickly settle down, have children, get married, right? They just want to rush into everything. They also were operating through fear themselves, right? They were living in lack, and I would essentially attract these types of women into my life, right? And I know this is a common problem amongst men. Let's keep it real. A lot of men, and I'm even going by the guys that I help, overcome and recover from breakups. A lot of the comments that are in my videos, there seems to be a trend here where men keep attracting the wrong women, and you got to understand that it's your vibrational frequency that must change in order for you to attract a woman that you actually want to be in a relationship with. Because when you upgrade your identity, your energy starts to shift. And when your energy shifts, the type of woman you attract shifts too. Your vibrational energy is made up of your self-worth, your confidence, your emotional state, your discipline, your standards, your boundaries, your purpose, and your overall identity. Think of it like this. Your identity is who you are at the core, and your energy is how that identity shows up in the world. And I want you to understand that if you're a man in his 30s or 40s, this becomes even more crucial for you to pay attention to, right? Because most men at this age are operating from a fear-based mindset. They have a fear of starting over again, a fear of being alone, a fear of not finding a better woman than their ex-partner who wasn't right for them. And when you operate from fear, you stay stuck in the wrong identity. And that identity is why you keep attracting the wrong women. So understand, you're not old, right? Life's just beginning for any man that's watching this right now who's in his 30s or 40s, but you can't afford at this age to keep getting this wrong, to keep inviting the wrong women into your life, to be in a toxic relationship, to have a woman drain all your energy and take you away from your goals and your purpose, and all your energy is going towards repairing the relationship all the time. It's not a secure, thriving relationship. So understand that you need to pay close attention to where you're going wrong. And I want to share with you the common mistakes that men make when it comes to attracting the wrong women into their life, right? I want you to be aware of where you're going wrong. It's all about raising awareness. So I want to share the common mistakes that I've also made myself in the past. So I'm going to share with you exactly where you might be going wrong. One of the first common mistakes is ignoring red flags, okay? This is something that I've done before myself. You see the signs, right? Usually the signs don't show earlier in the relationship. It usually shows later in the relationship, but you ignore them because you have a fear of starting over again. You don't want to lose this person, right? I know what it feels like. You've tied your whole identity to her. She's the center of your world. And then you have that fear of being alone, right? Part of you knows like this woman isn't right for me, but you still stay with her because you have this fear that you won't get someone better. Right? And again, that's a mindset issue. That's you coming from a place of fear and scarcity. And that's going to destroy your whole entire life, right? Not only your relationship. And the result, when you keep ignoring the red flags, you're going to keep attracting damaged, traumatized women who drain your energy and pull you further and further away from your goals and your purpose. This type of woman that you will attract, right, by being this version of yourself, understand that she doesn't want to see you grow. Your growth will intimidate her. When you start getting in shape and she stays the same, she's going to start jeopardizing your results. She's going to get in the way, right? And this is the wrong type of woman, right? I've seen this happen to so many of my own personal friends, even clients that I've coached, right? These sort of women will take you away. They will rob all your happiness and energy. And you're going to find yourself stuck in this yo-yo relationship where it's hot and cold, and it's essentially, turning into a toxic relationship, right? So you might be able to relate with that as well, but I've been through that myself, right? Ignoring the red flags because of that fear of being alone, fear of not being able to attract a better woman into your life, right? Because you don't feel that you're worthy. You don't feel like you can do better. And when you stay in a relationship with these sorts of damaged women, you know that these women start compromising your mental health, right? It goes further when you stay in relationships with these sorts of women. Trust me, I help clients recover from breakups. And man, some of these women are totally damaged. You're going to end up being her therapist, right? At the end of the day, that's not your job. You're not there to help her, right? You can't fix broken people. Damaged people are going to hurt you in the process, right? Hurt people, understand that. So if you keep staying in this current identity, right, you're only going to keep attracting these sorts of damaged women, right? You're going to ignore these red flags because of that mindset, because of that identity, because you're trapped in fear. So understand that's something that you need to pay attention to. Now, the second is over investing too early, that Mr. Nice Guy behavior. Trying too hard, over texting, over giving, trying to buy her love, trying to buy her flowers, trying to buy gifts all the time, right? Trust me, I've been there myself. I know what it feels like, right? Trying to be that Mr. Nice Guy, trying to win over a woman's attention and affection and her love. But essentially, when you do this, when you start over investing into the relationship, right, this is again something that's very dangerous because you're going to attract a woman who takes from you and never gives you anything back in return. This is the sort of woman that essentially is like a gold digger. Or this is essentially a woman that's going to just take all your energy or take all your gifts and take everything you give to her, and she's going to give you nothing back in return. She does not add any sort of benefit into your life, right? She doesn't complement your life in any way. And you got to understand that when she starts to pick up that you don't value yourself, she's going to start using you, right? I've seen this happen to a lot of guys. And this is something that's very hard to break free from because you've now created this sort of dynamic within the relationship where you're just always the giver and she's the taker, right? And you got to break that, but you got to understand where you're going wrong. So again, this is coming from being that Mr. Nice Guy, right? There's certain insecurities that you have. There's certain fears that you have. That's why you're over investing. I know when I did that in the past once before, I was dating this girl and I would just give and give and give, right? At the start, it was just out of kindness because I was helping her and her family. But then after a while, because, she was a very attractive woman, I just started overgiving, overgiving. And guess what happened? She would basically just use me. She would just take advantage of me. And essentially, it got to a point where I just had to break it off because I woke up, right? Essentially, I didn't let this go on for too long. I think we were seeing each other for approximately a month. But I had to cut ties with her because I could sense that, right? Whenever we went shopping, she started looking at all the expensive items, started pointing at this. And at the start, I bought it once, right? And then after that, I would notice her energy, right? She would start detaching from me. She lost that desire that she kind of had at the start, right? And again, that was my fault because I over invested. I gave too much. And that comes across as someone that doesn't value himself, right? Because you're trying to buy her affection and her love. And women are very good at picking up your energy. Please understand this. I know there's a lot of lost and damaged women out there in the world, but they're very good at picking up energy. So she picked up my energy and she's like, this guy's desperate. This guy's trying to buy my love. So she just essentially took advantage of me because she was someone that was literally making not much money. So at the end of the day, she took advantage of me because I allowed that to happen, right? I attracted that type of woman. And on top of that, because I didn't value myself, she essentially started to use me, right? So I've been there myself. You might be able to relate as well. And the third point is needing constant reassurance, seeking validation, being emotionally needy, wanting her to tell you that she loves you to feel secure. Understand that you will attract partners or women into your life who will start to lose respect for you quickly, and they will lose that genuine burning desire towards you because your energy is rooted in insecurity. Again, this might be something that you're going through, right? If you keep attracting these wrong women into your life, you're going to need to look at yourself in the mirror, right? Because your relationships are a reflection of who you are, right? The types of women that come into your life. So if you're someone that's needy, if you need constant reassurance, tell me you love me, constantly text me, constantly call me. If you're operating that way, essentially what's going to happen is you're going to really depend on this woman to fill that gap that you're feeling internally, right? Because you don't have that internal fulfillment. So your validation comes from her externally. And if that's not given to you, that's where you start to worry. That's where you start to message her. That's where you start to call her. That's where you start to over obsess. And again, she's going to pick this up, right? She's going to pick this up, and it comes down to your insecurities, right? That you need to be well aware of. I personally had a lot of insecurities in past relationships, always making the women the center of my world, seeking validation. I needed that emotional reassurance from her to tell me that she loved me, right? Because I had my own insecurities. I didn't love myself. I didn't value myself. I didn't have high self-worth. So I was always seeking that. And women understand when you're needy. Trust me, they will know when you're needy. And when you make her the center of your world, essentially that's where she starts to lose respect for you and she starts to detach. And then you start chasing, and now you're in this obsessive relationship where the whole dynamics changed, right? And you don't want to be stuck in this position. Again, it's going to drain a lot of mental energy from you. The fourth point is making her your mission, right? Your whole identity becomes a relationship. She becomes your purpose. She becomes the center of your world. And you essentially attract these sort of women who get bored, women who check out, women that emotionally become distant in the relationship. Because you got to understand basic women psychology. She can't admire a man who revolves his life around her. As much as she might tell you that she wants to always spend time with you and always see you, and trust me, I know how women are, right? They say one thing, but what they actually want is another thing, right? Or what they actually need, is another thing. What they need is a man not to give so much attention to her because he's so busy focusing his attention on his purpose and his craft. And when you do that, you'll essentially be in a relationship where she'll be fighting for your attention, right? That will create that healthy scarcity because you're not always readily available. Because me personally, I've been in relationships where I didn't have purpose. I didn't have missions. I wasn't striving towards goals. I made her the center of my world, right? But this happened before getting myself in the relationship to begin with. You got to understand that. So I would attract a woman into my life. Everything might be great in that honeymoon period, but again, your mask comes off, right? When that honeymoon period ends, your true colors come to light. Also, the woman's true colors come to light. So essentially, when you make her your mission, she essentially checks out, right? Even my last relationship, I attracted that woman because I didn't have a mission or a purpose. And again, I made her the mission and she would just disconnect. She'd pull away because I'd get so obsessive. My whole life revolved around her. My whole identity became that relationship. And when she walked out of my life, I was completely broken. So you got to understand that when you make her your mission, it's going to be a matter of time, right? It probably won't happen straight away, especially in the honeymoon period. But usually after 6 to 12 months, maybe a little bit longer, that's where she'll start to figure you out. Okay. And that's where she'll start to begin checking out of the relationship. She's going to emotionally detach herself from the relationship because she looks at you as a man that's not in his masculine energy, in his masculine presence, right? You're essentially being a man that's so constantly needy and you're desperate, and she's your everything. She's your world. She becomes your drug, right? And it ends up just draining your life. I understand this because I've been through this, right? So again, understand making her your mission is something that you need to be well aware of. Before you get yourself in your next relationship, you need to have all these things figured out before getting in the relationship, because as I mentioned, it'll be a matter of time before she checks out. And the fifth point is chasing chemistry instead of compatibility, chasing those emotional highs and excitement over long-term stability. This is a common mistake a lot of men make. I've made this myself. But I've noticed also with the guys that I help recover from breakups, they were focused on the wrong things, right? They're focused on chasing chemistry, on those romantic, deep, and meaningful conversations they had with this woman at the start, and they fell for that, but they were focusing on the wrong things, right? Essentially, if you keep chasing chemistry instead of compatibility, you're going to keep attracting women who mirror your wounds, right? These types of women strengthen your insecurities. You're going to attract these sort of damaged women because you're looking for the emotional highs, because you've got areas that are lacking internally, right? Certain insecurities. So you're not focusing on the right things, because you got to understand at the end of the day, for a relationship to work, it's not the chemistry, right? It's the compatibility. A lot of guys that I personally helped were all chasing chemistry, right? They were chasing chemistry. They were like, we had deep and meaningful conversations. Everything was amazing. And then the woman breaks up with them, right? So much for the chemistry. Where's the chemistry now? That's why I say chemistry doesn't mean shit. It's compatibility at the end of the day that you need, because relationships require two people that are on the same frequency to make it work, right? Relationships can either be difficult and drain all your energy, or they can be something that you can be in control of, right? If you have masculine frame, if you're in your masculine energy. So understand that chemistry will get you nowhere, right? Understand that compatibility, long-term compatibility, making sure that this person is an effective communicator when it comes to problems, right? When it comes to arguments, disagreements, you need to have a woman that doesn't give up. You need to have a woman that sees the long-term stability of that relationship, that wants a relationship long-term. So you got to understand that chasing chemistry will never attract that sort of woman into your life. You need to make sure that you focus on chasing compatibility, but that will only happen once you overcome all your insecurities and your weaknesses, right? Once you actually become emotionally grounded within yourself. And the final common mistake a lot of men make is lack of boundaries. Tolerating disrespect, avoiding conflict, not wanting to start any arguments, right? Always agreeing with her because you don't want to rock the boat. Essentially, when you are this sort of person who doesn't have high self-worth, who doesn't have self-respect, right? Because again, boundaries are tied with your self-respect, how much you actually respect yourself as a man, right? So understand that you will only keep attracting masculine types of women who constantly shit test you over and over again, push your buttons, and lose trust in your ability to lead the relationship. Because essentially you're in a position where you're not able to lead yourself as a man, because you're seeking this other person to fill that empty void internally, because you don't have self-worth, because you don't have that self-respect. She's going to see this, right? You're going to attract this woman who's going to essentially just put you through a whole bunch of shit tests, who's always going to be pissed off with you, right? Who's always going to be starting shit with you because she can see that you're weak. She's always going to be testing you, right? Understand, you've been through this. I've been through this myself. Even in that last relationship that didn't work out, went through a bunch of shit tests, but I was avoiding conflict. I didn't want to start things. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to make her more angry. right? Because at the end of the day, I didn't have respect for myself. I wasn't able to draw the line because I didn't respect myself enough. I didn't value myself enough, right? So understand that if you have low self-worth right now, you don't respect yourself as a man, you're not able to lead your own life, well, guess what? It's going to be a matter of time before that woman is going to put you through those tests, right? But again, you're going to attract that wrong woman to begin with, right? Again, it's your energy, it's your vibrational frequency, your identity. So what is the solution? Okay, the first thing we need to do is take personal responsibility, right? Understand that you need to take responsibility. Look at yourself in the mirror. Those common mistakes that I shared with you, do you fall under any of those categories? If the answer is yes, please understand that you need to change this around, or you're only going to keep attracting low value women into your life, right? It's only going to happen over and over again. You're going to be one of those guys that constantly dates women, gets in a relationship, breaks up with her, gets in a relationship, breaks up with her, maybe goes through multiple divorces, right? You can't afford to get this wrong, especially if you're in your 30s or 40s. So understand, if you want to stop attracting the wrong woman, you must stop operating from the wrong identity. The only way out is to rebuild yourself. I say this time and time again, not for fun, but because this is the only way out. Could you imagine? I made the same mistakes over and over again for over 15 years, right? And it didn't work out, right? So then I finally took responsibility, looked at myself and go, these are the reasons why I keep attracting these women into my life. This is why things are going wrong. So I'm sharing this with you so you can take responsibility and understand, you know what? He's right. He's made all the mistakes. Why don't I just learn from him? Why do you want to waste time and learn the hard way? Do you want to be in a 5-10 year relationship and then in the end, the woman ends up replacing you for another guy, right? Trust me, I see it all the time. It happens in my comments. Guys share what they're going through. It blows my freaking mind. At the end of the day, they get themselves in these relationships. Everything's good, 5 years, whatever. They get a bit complacent. They have kids with this woman and bang, she's gone. She's moved on with someone else just like that. So much for the chemistry at the start, right? At the end of the day, that's a low value woman. Relationships are not easy. It takes a right woman to make a relationship work. So these low value women are going to keep coming into your life and destroying your life. And now that you have children, right? Fuck, you've got responsibilities now. It's a different ball game. So you can't afford to keep getting this wrong. Please pay attention that your only way out is to rebuild yourself. Transform your standards, your self-worth, your confidence, your purpose, your emotional stability as a man. When you transform the man you are, you transform the women you attract into your life. You want a high-value woman? You want a woman that's not damaged, who doesn't have trauma, who has a secure attachment style, who's feminine, who's stable, who's nurturing, who's supportive, who doesn't complain all the time, right, when things don't go her way, who's got that positive spirit, who only wants the best for you, who's loyal. When you have arguments, she's willing to communicate with you effectively because she doesn't want to keep going through the heartache of arguments and disagreements. She wants to just be with you because she loves you so much and she wants the best for you, right? If you want to attract this sort of woman into your life, please understand, take it from me, right? Again, 15 years of mistakes. You must focus on rebuilding that identity, but understand that when you change your frequency, which is the operating system that you're operating from, which is your energy, we're all energy beings at the end of the day. When you change that internal world of yours, right, that's when you're going to start to actually be on that right frequency to attract that woman to match that energy of yours, right? And that's essentially what happened to me. The relationship that I'm in right now is the best relationship of my life. Reason being is because I've attracted a woman who's stable, who's not damaged, who doesn't have trauma, who has a secure attachment style, who has a great relationship with her mother and her father, who loves her father, who loves her brother. She really respects men, right? She's very feminine. She brings me good energy. I didn't go on dating apps to meet her. She came into my life, right? I met her because I was operating from that right frequency. You can choose not to believe me, but at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that's stuck in this problem. There's a reason why for 15 years, I kept attracting the wrong women. And then finally, I met the right woman who just slotted into my life, right? Because I rebuilt myself. I changed my frequency. I was someone that was operating with low frequency for pretty much most of my life. And then I switched to operating with high frequency, right? By doing the internal work, by focusing on rebuilding myself. And that's when I attracted a woman who was also high frequency. And that's why we're in a good relationship, because we're operating from that right frequency. I've attracted that woman into my life because of who I've become, right? After rebuilding myself. Understand that you're only going to keep making the same mistakes until you rebuild your identity, until you change that operating frequency, right? That energy of yours, that internal state. So if you'd like to learn more about this, if you'd like to rebuild your identity, if you're sick of attracting wrong women into your life, low value women, damaged women, if you're sick of going through divorces, multiple breakups, constantly dating women and there's nothing there, these are all just damaged women, again, I can help you get there. I can help you rebuild yourself in a short amount of time. This is what I love to do. I've done it for myself. I can help you get there. So you can click the link down below. You can book a free one-to-one coaching call with me, and I'll see if you're the right fit for the program. But understand, this is something that you must really focus on, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to just keep attracting these types of damaged women. And I know there's a part of you internally that when you're in this relationship or the relationships that you've been in the past, you've said to yourself, man, I can do better than this. I'm hoping now that you understand where you're going wrong, right? I've explained it clearly in this video. So again, if you want to change things around, you don't have to stay stuck in this identity that's no longer serving you. Start the year off with the right identity, have that right frequency, and I'm telling you, watch your life change. So many of my clients, they've come to me broken. I've helped them rebuild themselves, right? Become a new identity. And these guys are just meeting women, right? Without going on dating apps, without getting desperate. These guys actually meeting women because of their vibrational frequency. I'm telling you right now, you can choose not to believe me, but it's you that's going to be stuck. So at the end of the day, if you want to change your life around, if you want to win, I can help you get there. But look, I'm going to end this video here. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps me, keep making more valuable content to help men out on their self-improvement journey. If you like the video, give it a like. It always helps the algorithm. And if you can relate with what I've discussed in today's video, if you want to share your side of the story, please drop it down in the comments below. I'll reach out and get back to each and every one of you guys. But look, ending the video here, I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. I'll see you in the next video. Understand, you've got this. Let's get it. Peace out.